Welcome to REFI TV. I'm Samantha Rowan, and my guest today is Sean Brown, Director of Business Development for Datawatch Systems, a company that offers access control for office owners. Thank you for being here today, Sean.
Thank you, Samantha.
I'd like to start out with a 2-minute overview of Datawatch Systems. If you could tell me what you guys do for tenants and landlords.
Datawatch Systems is an access control, CCTV, and security service provider to the commercial real estate market. Datawatch itself provides a managed service approach to the office market. So what we do is we monitor the buildings 24/7. We do operational data backups. We do card administration and programming for the office side as well as the tenants.
You manage a building's access control services remotely. How is what you do different than a traditional security provider?
There are two types of access control systems. And I'd tell you the one that's most prevalent in the marketplace is what we call a standalone system. It's a software package combined with hardware on the doors, and it is run by the local staff. There's another system out there we call it a managed service system, and that's what Datawatch is. So we have the same end-of-the-wire hardware devices that you use to get into a building, but what we do differently is that we monitor, manage, and operate that system on behalf of the building. So most of the standalone systems aren't monitored. They're managed by the local staff, but we're doing it all in a 24 by 7 central station that we're doing it with our teams.
Is there a geographic concentration for the properties that you manage? Are they in CBDs or suburban offices? Or?
Well, it's very interesting because Datawatch was started in Bethesda, Maryland, which is the DC metro market, and they grew up in that mid-Atlantic area. So most of our clients are have offices in those marketplaces, and from there we've moved out into different marketplaces in the country. But over the last 4, 5, 6 years, we've made a heavy concentration push to, grow Florida, Georgia, Texas, and the Northeast.
Is that in conjunction with just maybe employment growth in those markets? Because it's my understanding that many markets in Texas and some of the other places you were mentioning have seen a kind of surge in unemployment and companies moving there.
I think that there's a lifestyle focus that a lot of people are looking at, saying they don't need to be in such the urban markets, but then there's also the urban renewals that are bringing people back to the cities. So I think it's both. Datawatch's strong points have been suburban office buildings. And now that we're focused in some of the major cities, we're working on some of the larger million-square-foot towers.
Because we're talking about technology, I have to ask if there are any neat new features or gadgets that you've rolled out.
I would say that there are a couple. The most recent one that we've rolled out is hosted video, or we call it Hosted Video Watch, and that is basically CCTV recording in the cloud. It allows direct access via laptop, smartphone, and also off-site monitoring by our central station on behalf of a client.
There's an expectation in the coming years that there's going to be more natural disasters like Hurricane Sandy and tornadoes. How does Datawatch fit into an owner's plan during a natural disaster?
As more and more disasters are occurring, I think more owners and managers are looking at their emergency action plans from natural disasters to terrorist activities. And what we do in mixing with them is try and figure out ways to assist them with mustering programs, and we have one that's called Hurricane Watch, and another one which is mass notification. So Hurricane Watch is a web page that we host on in our central station on behalf of a client, and that is basically a one-way communication tool to tell employees of a building whether the building is opened or closed, has power, or doesn't have power during a hurricane. It also allows the management companies, if they have 60 or more properties in the marketplace, to look at their portfolio and say what's open, what's closed. And their people can log into that website and update the information. Mass notification is really a two-way communication tool that we use, and we send out texts, emails, make a few phone calls to VIPs to verify that they're safe, that their whereabouts are known, and we're looking for a communication back to the central station on behalf of a building or a property owner to make sure those people are safe.
You mentioned power outages, which leads me to my next question. What do you do when power just gets wiped out at one of the buildings that you manage?
We have, in our panel system, we have batteries that back up our system, but batteries only last as long as a battery will last. So in today's reconstruction, restoration, renovations that are going on because of these natural disasters and power outages, a lot of buildings are putting in generators. So life safety systems are being increasingly added to the generator backups. We ask that our systems are put on those as well, because then you can control life safety systems and security as well. But again, it all depends on whether your telephone lines are up, is whether you can communicate with the building, which means you get your internet communications as well. So it really depends on what the power outage really is. From our point of view, our central stations are backed up redundantly with a couple of different power sources, a couple of different telephone lines from different companies coming in, as well as multiple generators. So during the last couple of disasters when we've had power outages, the central station has stayed up, and we've watched buildings go down. We've watched them come back up as the local utilities turn things back on.
We have time for one last question. What's on the docket going forward?
We are growing year over year. We are looking at new markets, trying to expand further and deeper into the markets outside the Mid-Atlantic. And lastly, we're always looking at new technologies as what's coming down from the security manufacturers and others as to what's going to happen in the protection of people, their buildings, and their assets within them.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today, so I'd like to thank you very much for being here, Sean.
Thank you, Samantha.
And I'm Samantha Rowan, and this is REFI TV.